Viewers, good evening. Imagine you're watching this debate and I say something that the government of the day does not like, and within minutes, the police come looking for you. They come looking for me here in the studio, and both you and I are arrested, thrown in the jail, no charges, no trial, just total darkness. That is what happened during the emergency. This is not some wild imagination. This was the reality of emergency, viewers, at a time when fear choked our nation, when the Constitution, our beacon of hope, was trampled to protect one woman's power and ambitions. Viewers, exactly 50 years ago, on June 25, 1975, under Indira Gandhi's command, India's soul was betrayed. Our freedoms, speech, press, life itself was stolen. Countless Indians, from poets to laborers, you name it, were locked away, their voices silenced, their dreams crushed. Those who dissented, their cries drowned in the silence of censorship. Viewers, the Constitution, our sacred Samvidhan, was not just tweaked, it was gutted, twisted to serve one leader's ambition. This was not a mistake, not one oversight, it was murder of democracy, and one can still feel the pain. Indira Gandhi was awarded the Bharat Ratna when she was still the Prime Minister in 1971. In fact, she awarded it to herself. But how can one justify that distinction, that honor, after the horrors of the emergency? It's a difficult thought, but just think about it. In France, the former president Nicolas Sarkozy was convicted of corruption, and the Legion of Honor, the highest civilian award of France that was given to him earlier, was rescinded. Shouldn't there be a rethink about the Bharat Ratna awarded to Indira Gandhi? But viewers, what hurts even more is the audacity of some in the Congress and the ecosystem who dare to justify this betrayal by blaming the RSS. The emergency was not a reaction to some shadowy threat. It was a choice. Viewers, it was a choice in capital letters to crush dissent for power. To rewrite this truth is to mock our pain, to trample on the sacrifices of those who fought to reclaim our freedom. And yet the Congress has the gall to accuse the Modi government of an undeclared emergency, viewers, while brushing off the one they declared. The Congress's delusion peaks when they cry foul over judicial independence. Mr. Khadge today, you see, held a long winding press conference in which they pointed to Modi's policies like the abrogation of Article 370, etc., etc. And the Congress has been saying this by pointing to abrogation of Article 370 being upheld by the court as some proof of a compromised judiciary. Yet these same courts, viewers, have slapped down government overreach, from Aadhaar's mandatory linking to the electoral bond case. There are many examples. Now let's rewind to 1975, when the Supreme Court, under Congress's thumb, or hand if you will, panja, ruled that even the right to life could be suspended. One man stood tall, Justice Khanna, and Justice Khanna's dissent was a lone candle in that darkness, and he paid for it with his career. Viewers, for the Congress to now lecture on judicial sanctity is like a fox guarding the hen house complaining about security. Viewers, this performance is a calculated distraction and deflection. By streaming undeclared emergency, the Congress hopes to erase their own starring role in the real one. They are banking on voters too young to remember the 1975, or perhaps too dazzled by the rhetoric to check the history books. But viewers, here's what they must remember. Democracy today is loud, messy and alive. Elections see Modi's BJP lose states like Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh, Telangana. To the Congress party, the BJP has lost in Bengal to the TMC. Opposition rallies draw thousands, and social media is thriving with anti-Modi, anti-government memes. Viewers, if this is an emergency, even if undeclared, it's the worst executed one in history. But the fundamental questions remain. How can the Congress claim to love the Constitution when they won't even mourn the day their party nearly killed it? Where is the apology from the Congress party? Where is the heartfelt cry for the lives they broke? And Rahul Gandhi, who claims to hold the Samvidhan high, calls himself its savior. Why hasn't he led his party to its knees in sorrow for what it did? Rahul Gandhi speaks of justice, of healing, but healing starts with truth. If Congress truly cherishes our constitution, the Samvidhan, they should show it. Rahul should demand that his party tenders an unconditional and an unequivocal apology, not with some vague words, but with a raw regret India deserves. The ecosystem must stop hiding, must stop blaming. They should fall on their knees and apologize for the emergency. Cry for the pain it caused, for the democracy it wounded. Until they do that, viewers, their words of love for the Samvidhan will feel like salt in our wounds, completely empty against the stars of 1975. India is waiting with its hearts heavy. When is the apology coming? It's been too long already. Sample the reactions, then we open this up.
जिस 25 साल के युवा ने उस वक्त कांग्रेस पार्टी की प्रधानमंत्री इंदिरा गांधी के तानाशाही विचारों का विरोध किया, घर घर जाकर, गांव गांव जाकर, शहर में घूमकर विरोध किया, आज वही व्यक्ति जिस काम के लिए इमरजेंसी डाली गई थी, परिवारवाद को प्रस्तावित करने के लिए, वो परिवारवाद को आज वही व्यक्ति ने 2014 में पूरे देश से उखाड़ कर फेंक.
The Union Cabinet, chaired by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, resolved to commemorate and honor the sacrifices of countless individuals who valiantly resisted the emergency and its attempt at subversion of the spirit of Indian Constitution.
इनके जो फेल्यूअर्स है, झूठ जो बातें इन्होंने बार बार करते आए हैं, तो उस झूठ को छुपाने के लिए, अपने बातों को छुपाने के लिए वे आज ये नाटक रचे हैं.
Let's open this up. Tuhin Sinha, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Faizan Kidwai, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Professor Monojit Mondal, Political Analyst. Nikhil Jain, Political Analyst. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, needs no introduction. We've kept the panel short so that people can speak more. Just 5 people. Let's start with Nikhil Jain. Nikhil Jain, where is the apology for emergency? 50 years.
Pranesh, first of all, if your team would have done the research properly, you would have known that Rahul Gandhi has already apologized for the emergency. Multiple leaders in the Congress party have already apologized for the emergency. They've made it very categorical that the imposition of emergency in the year 1975 by Congress Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was a wrong decision, was a mistake, should not have been taken. Leaders from the Congress have apologized about the excesses that were carried out by the Indian administration during emergency. So let's get that out of the way, and I hold the same view. Emergency was wrong, shouldn't have been imposed. There were excesses carried out.
1 minute. You tell your research team, by the way, you tell your research team to give you the right research. There is no formal apology of the Congress party. None that I have seen. If you have it, show it to me. I will apologize. If you have the apology letter, show it to me, Nikhil Jain. Show it to me. Enough of this, fraud every evening. If you have the apology letter, show it to me.
Panelist starts to oppose the narrative that you're trying to build, you feel the need to interject him. I very clearly said that the emergency was wrong. Rahul Gandhi has said.
Who are you?
But what about
Are you the Congress party? Nikhil Jain, who are you? Are you the Congress party? Where is the official apology from the Congress party? I am asking you, if you, you were speaking with so much confidence that, look, Pranesh, your research team, this, that, the other, show me the copy of the apology, or you apologize.
Please go in the internet and research on it. Indian Express has covered it. The Hindu has covered it.
You show me a press release of the Congress party in which they have apologized. How difficult is it, Nikhil Jain? Okay, I'll give you some time. Dr. Ranganathan, where is the apology of the Congress party? Have you seen it?
Apology is like Congress's victories in elections. I have never seen them. But meanwhile, this is Congress's own Salman Khurshid, who defends emergency, says no apology needed. Now, will Nikhil Jain apologize for this?
Nikhil, will you apologize?
For what?
For what? For the wrong decisions. For the so-called wrong decisions. You said emergency was some wrong decision. It was not a decision. It was a disaster. And there is no apology. And there are others in the Congress party and the larger ecosystem who are justifying emergency, blaming the RSS, etc., etc. Faizan Kidwai, forget politics for a bit. As an Indian citizen, what do you think? Should the Congress party not apologize, sir, for emergency?
So then if everybody is supposed to apologize, then Narendra Modi Sahab has to apologize for a lot of things. He has to apologize for putting up GST without thinking about it properly because
okay,
of
so emergency is equal to GST. Faizan Kidwai, मैं सोचता था आप थोड़ा, I mean, you know, I had regards for you, Faizan भाई. आपने emergency को GST से compare कर दिया. Really?
Just let me complete, sir. Just let me complete. See, Mrs. Indira Gandhi at least acknowledged that she had made a mistake. And it was Indira Gandhi ji herself who, when Morarji Desai's government was formed along with Mr. Morarji Desai, they together amended the provisions of emergency so that it cannot be misused in years to come. But when somebody like a Bharatiya Janata Party, an organization which has a very narcissistic supreme leader who believes in the policy of despotism, autocracy, authoritarianism, who's a champion of dividing India on communal lines, who's a champion of targeting voices of dissent through ED, CBI, and Election Commission, where civil liberties and press freedom are stifled on a daily basis, where journalists, activists, they are jailed under UAPA. When that organization, an organization which showed disregard to the Indian Constitution, this is what the RSS said. Those people who have come to power by the kick of fate may give in hands the tricolor, but it will never be accepted by the Hindus. The MS Golwalkar in his article Drifting and Drafting compared tricolor to choosing tricolor as the national flag.
Faizan Kidwai, I don't want to, argue on, non-issues. But for you to compare emergency to GST, it just tells me about how serious you are about what happened in 1975. There is no debate after that, Faizan Kidwai. You can say what you want, abuse Modi, tell him things, etc., etc. That happens every evening. Hold Modi accountable, go to court, send him to jail. Jail all the others like Modi that you don't like. But you were talking about acknowledgement. A for apology nahi aaya abhi tak. Monojit Mondal, have you seen the apology Nikhil Jain is talking about? I'm giving him time so that he can at least come up with some document, letter.
No, I'm not an apologist for the Congress party, but it was a blot on Indian democracy. It was the black 3-4 months of Indian democracy without any shade of doubt. But I think I will detour the words of my previous speaker from Samajwadi Party. India is not having an emergency of the kind that we had in 1975, but it is returning in a different avatar. He had given some instances of that. Look how many people are languishing in jail without any trial. Opposition leaders are being sent to jail without charge sheet, without any conviction. And most of those opposition leaders belong to the TMC. You see, I gave you the names of those people, some of the ministers who were put in jail 10, 15, 10, 12 years ago, since 2014. And still there is no conviction of these people. Look at the overactivism of ED, CBI. They have become long-armed of the party.
Professor Mondal, really? Overactivism is equal to emergency. क्या हो क्या गया आप लोगों को? क्या हो गया सर? ये कौन सा कसम खा लिया आप लोगों ने कांग्रेस पार्टी को सपोर्ट करने का? दिस इज अबाउट अ प्रिंसिपल. All of you who say Jai Samvidhan today can't speak one word against the emergency. You have one person comparing it to the GST, goods and service tax is equal to emergency. Nikhil Jain was caught lying. First question to him and he was lying on national TV. Tuhin Sinha, the Congress party has acknowledged it. It was a wrong decision. That's all. Khatam kijiye. Why is the BJP outraged 50 years later?
Well, good evening. Good evening, Pranesh. Good evening, everybody. Today is a somber day in history, and the wounds of all those people who have suffered are fresh. Just allow me 15 seconds, and I would request other people to join me in observing silence for all those who have suffered during emergency. Thank you. Pranesh, the point is, this Congress party is absolutely incorrigible. 50 years ago, when they were in power, they would impose emergency, jail people, forcibly sterilize people, and 50 years later, when they are out of power, in a concerted way, they are going about demonizing institutions. That also is an assault on democracy, mind you. When Rahul Gandhi travels abroad and says our democracy is in danger and tells people in US we need your support to reinstall democracy, that also is a grave assault on democracy. When he repeatedly vilifies the election commission on the most illogical grounds, that again is an assault on democracy. So this Congress party is absolutely incorrigible, even if tomorrow it has to formally apologize, which it won't.
But Tuhin Sinha, you see, Faizan Kidwai is saying that Modi should apologize for GST. Indira Gandhi ने emergency लाया, Prime Minister Modi को माफी मांगनी चाहिए, goods and service tax, वो भी 18% लगा के माफी मांगी आप.
I am glad you have raised this question. There can be absolutely no equivalence to the horrors of emergency. So please don't be dragged into this false equivalence. Constitutional Amendment Act 38, आप emergency के decision को ही नहीं challenge कर सकते थे. Constitutional Amendment Act 39, you could not challenge the election of the president or the prime minister of the country, even if it were fallacious. And Constitutional Amendment Act 42, which even prohibited the Supreme Court from having any judicial oversight.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. All of you have spoken. Dr. Ranganathan hasn't. Nikhil, you will not find it. Nikhil, don't Google. Phone ka battery drain ho jayega. There is no apology. Where will you get it? Dr. Ranganathan.
No, first of all, good evening, Pranesh, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, I am amused because all those claiming we are living under an emergency because there is no freedom of speech and expression were the same people clamoring for the prosecution of Nupur for merely quoting Islamic scriptures. They were clamoring for the prosecution of YouTubers in Tamil Nadu who conducted interviews not liked by Stalin. All those people, including professors who forwarded cartoons not liked by Mamata, and were left by the court after 11 years. All those journalists reporting on stories not liked by Kejriwal in Punjab or with Sheesh Mahal. All those activists who were arrested for their Facebook posts not liked by Pawar. So let's get this straight. They don't stand against unjust and draconian laws that stifle free speech. They stand against their application to their friends and ideological bedfellows. They don't mind the cloud of emergency when it suits them. In Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Punjab, Bengal. They don't mind their police chasing a teenager girl because she said something that offended them, going 1,000 miles to arrest her. Semi-literate, shameless hypocrites. Look, if you want to talk of emergency, then talk of it objectively if you have the guts. Truth is, the emergency is all about killing the Constitution. And when does Constitution die? Constitution dies when a citizen's freedom of speech and expression is brutally curtailed and stomped upon. And that is what Jawaharlal Nehru did through his first amendment to our constitution, following which, under him, dozens of books and films were banned, historians and editors were jailed. When does constitution die? When the president and when the judiciary is forced to curtail the fundamental rights of the citizen. And that is what Indira Gandhi did through the emergency, following which tens of thousands of Indians were jailed and killed and sterilized, and Constitution's body and soul and preamble altered with gay abandon. When does Constitution die? When a Supreme Court's considered verdict is overturned with impunity, when the citizen's right to privacy is snatched away. And that is what Rajiv Gandhi did through the Postal Act and through overturning the Shah Bano judgment, ushering in an era of blatant appeasement. When does Constitution die, Pranesh? When tens of thousands of activists are arrested and charged with sedition and called anti-national. When the Election Commission is severely compromised, which is what Sonia Gandhi did. When under her proxy rule, 8,000 activists were charged with sedition in a single day. When Naveen Chawla, despite the Shah Commission charging him with committing atrocities during the emergency and deeming him unfit for office, was appointed as the Chief Election Commissioner, ignoring the cries of the then CEC that Chawla was spying for the Congress and passing on sensitive information to it. Just 30 seconds. When does Constitution die? When the FCRA Act is retrospectively amended, rendering the High Court conviction of political parties like the BJP and the Congress toothless, which is what happened under Rahul Gandhi, when the High Court conviction of Congress and the BJP was rendered useless through a parliamentary amendment brought in by the BJP and supported by the Congress. Nehru, Indira, Rajiv, Sonia, Rahul. These are the famous five who have made sure our constitution is dead. On the other hand, how has Modi killed constitution and brought in emergency? Give me one example, one, that hasn't either been ratified by the Supreme Court or indeed by the opposition itself, like 370 abrogation or overturning of the Supreme Court judgment on SC/ST Act. But as I said, facts don't matter to Congress, only propaganda does.
Faizan Kidwai wants to say something. I'll get Faizan Bhai on. But you were talking about the Election Commission. Here's some breaking news update for you viewers. Remember the Congress saying that there is bogus voting in Maharashtra? The Bombay High Court has rejected that plea. And the court has said whole day wasted on this. This is the court saying it. And the court has also called it farcical. No evidence of fraudulent voting. Claims farcical. Faizan Kidwai, go ahead.
Yes, to Anand Bhai, you are asking what kind of an emergency or what has Narendra Modi done which is so wrong that can be termed as an undeclared emergency. Sir, when democratically elected chief ministers like Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Soren are put behind bars without conclusive evidence, when BJP tries to create a sinister plan to make sure that Rahul Gandhi is removed from his post, and the Honorable Supreme Court had to intervene, where every Sikh becomes a Khalistani, where every Muslim becomes a jihadi, and every intellectual becomes a urban Naxal, because they are asking tough questions to the government, where 3 black farm laws are brought in, where new criminal laws are brought in, electoral bonds are brought in without even having a discussion.
I said that in the beginning. What did the Supreme Court do with the electoral bonds? What did the Supreme Court do? 1 minute, Faizan Kidwai, listen to me carefully. Now, enough. Listen to me. In 1975, after the emergency was declared, Dr. Ranganathan, I'm coming to you. Just 1 point. 1 point. There were no trials, sir. If you were put in jail, you were put in jail. And you are comparing this to GST. Then you brought in Kejriwal, Soren. The Congress wanted Kejriwal jailed. So Congress is handing gloves with Prime Minister Modi in undeclared emergency. They're out on bail. The court has given them bail. Dr. Ranganathan.
No, Faizan Bhai is a very dear friend and brother, but I have to say this out here. He is saying Modi is responsible bringing in emergency because Kejriwal was arrested, because Sisodia was arrested. Those were done decisions made by the courts. I am astonished. I mean, I'm sorry, but Faizan Bhai is one step away from saying Modi has brought in emergency because while he has built 100 million toilets, not a single one of them has toilet paper.
He will say it. Nikhil will say it. Nikhil, have you found the apology?
Respond. Can I respond?
Respond to my question. Have you found the apology?
Right, but the point is that I also gave you... No. Pranesh, you can't interject me. You can't keep on interjecting me and then keep on going back to the BJP panelists. The fact is that you asked me for a documentary proof. I have given you the documentary proof from NDTV website.
NDTV, I'm talking about Indian National Congress. Have you outsourced everything to TV channels? Have you outsourced it? Who is the president of... No, who is the president? 1 minute. 1 minute. There are other things also that I want to say, but I'm just stopping here. INC, Indian National Congress, give me an apology. Show me an apology, Nikhil Jain. Show me. Show me. Until you find one, keep looking for it. Professor Monojit Mondal and Kanchana Yadav, spokesperson of the RJD, is also joining the debate. Boliye, Professor Mondal.
No, hang on. I my good friend, I want to respond to my good friend, Mr. Dr. Ranganathan. अरे इन लोगों को तो जेल में भेजा, जब वो लोग तृणमूल से बीजेपी जाते हैं और एनसीपी से बीजेपी जाते हैं, सेम चार्जेस के लिए, why don't you put them in jail? अजीत पवार, शुभेंदु अधिकारी, they were under the same law, they were under the same cases, CBI was investigating. The moment they switched over, ये लोग दूध का धुला हो जाते हैं. आप उसके बारे में कुछ बोलिए ना.
Sir, 8 minutes. That is political. No, 1 minute. Professor Mondal, 8 minutes. Dr. Ranganathan will answer that. But I am taking a principled stand. That is the political hypocrisy of the BJP. मैं तो ये बोल रहा हूँ आपको. But that is not undeclared emergency, sir. Just like GST is not undeclared emergency. Professor Mondal, कुछ तो मर्यादा रखिए, please. Let's not do this. Let's get Tuhin to answer that.
You know, since Pradesh, two opposition spokespersons have leveled this charge that we get opposition CMs arrested, let me place some facts before you. When was Lalu Yadav first arrested? July 25th, 1997 in the Chara Ghotala case. Who was the Prime Minister then? I.K. Gujral. When was Shibu Soren arrested in the charge of the murder of his own secretary in 2006? Who was the government at the center? It was a Manmohan Singh-led government. What are they trying to say? Do they want immunity from all crimes? Do they want Kejriwal and Hemant Soren to be given complete immunity to carry out corruption? Please, Congress party and this opposition need to realize that if you are corrupt, you will have to face the law. And we will ensure that law takes its own course. Please don't connect it with democracy. Democracy is alive when all our institutions, including the judiciary, function, and the judiciary will function actively. There will be no special favors to chief ministers of opposition states.
Okay, let's get Nikhil now. Nikhil has found something. Yes, Nikhil.
Only to Pranesh, I hope you don't interject me for every single time that I speak. First of all, Tuhin Sinha has made a number of charges. You have not asked him for any proof. Tuhin compares the case of Hemant Soren and Arvind Kejriwal's arrest with that of Mr. Lalu Yadav. Let me remind him that the arrests of chief ministers before 2014 were on court orders pursuant to a judgment of conviction.
Okay.
What happened with Arvind Kejriwal and Hemant Soren was that the ED arrested these individuals. The lower courts affirmed the arrest because the laws have been made in a manner that you practically cannot get bail in matters like these. These people have not been tried in any court. They were kept in jail for months and months without any offense being proven against them.
Nikhil Jain, 1 minute. Okay. I'm sure you're not getting the apology letter, but that does not mean, you resort to this. 1 minute. 1 minute, sir. Aapne kya bola abhi? What did you say? Court orders. How did the National Herald probe begin? That the Congress calls vendetta? Bataiye.
Has brought in number of.
You tell me, how did the National Herald probe begin, Nikhil Jain? Answer the question. It was ordered by a court. But the Congress calls it vendetta by Modi.
Without any charges being proven against him.
Nikhil Jain, I am asking you the question you are posing. You tell me about it. You have no answers. Dr. Ranganathan.
No, there is a reason. All of us are, all those on the panel are my very dear friends. But I have to say a special mention to Professor Mondal. At least he's brutally honest. He's condemned the emergency and said it's a blot. I just hope Nikhil does the same. It's just be simple and move on. Number two, when he talks about the draconian ED laws that have been used, does he even know the Supreme Court judgment of 2022-23 that has ratified those very laws, making bailable bail very rare? Does he even know Supreme Court went through those very laws that have been changed? And number three, just to say this, and I'm repeating facts, even though my good friend and brother, younger brother Tuhin might be offended. There is an emergency, and the people who are suffering are the Hindus, because they cannot even approach the courts to get their demolished temples back, because they are the ones who are systematically and overwhelmingly obligated to give reservations when Muslim run and Christian run schools are not, because only their temples are under control because of so many other things. It is an emergency, but only Hindus are suffering.
Nikhil, will you endorse that? Mind you, it'll anger the vote bank, huh? Hisab se.
Temples in this country are run by temple trust boards, which are under the state governments. The kind of emergency Dr. Ranganathan would like to paint out, that is not the kind of emergency we are suffering. The kind of emergency that we are suffering is the excesses of the agencies, the absolute blind nature of the Election Commission, and right now he said how
Election Commission, I just read out what the Bombay High Court has said. Jain, you know, questioning the Election Commission. Nikhil Jain, don't forget what Rajiv Gandhi had said in Parliament. Have you forgotten? Just look at the screen. This is Rajiv Gandhi. His words, not mine. एक बार आप पढ़ लीजिए. Can you see the screen? Can you read the highlighted portion? Professor Mondal, do you want to read it for Nikhil Jain? Padhiye, sir.
No. What kind of emergency is this?
What kind of? Okay. So we have what kind of? Sir, 1 minute. We have secular emergency, we have communal emergency, and I don't know, we have delusional emergency. I don't know what emergency you're talking about. Sir, isme to Professor Mondal, just read the letter. ये letter नहीं है. This is the statement. Rajiv Gandhi ने क्या बोला था Parliament में, ये देखिए. The emergency, there is nothing wrong with the emergency if it is applied when it is required. The Constitution tells us when it is required. ये देखिए, ये archive से निकल रहा है. It is all there. Who said it? Rajiv Gandhi. Now you tell me, what kind of emergency was imposed in 75?
I'm saying now. What kind of emergency imposed now in your studio? आप बोलने नहीं देते हो हम लोगों को और उन लोगों को बोलने देते हो ज्यादातर. ये इमरजेंसी है ना.
We are all one. ये हम और उनमें मत कीजिए. ये we are all one. Professor Mondal.
अरे 5 सेकंड भी बोलने नहीं देते हो और मेरे गुड फ्रेंड को 5 मिनट बोलने देते हो. कैसे याद करके मेमोराइज करके आते हैं, एक स्पीच देते हैं, बहुत अच्छा स्पीच देते हैं, लेकिन he should be in the parliament, I believe. My good friend Ranganathan should be in the parliament.
सर एक काम कीजिए,
हमको 5 मिनट भी नहीं बोलने देते हो.
Get him a TMC ticket. वैसे भी लोग टीवी पे बोल के पार्लियामेंट पहुंच गए हैं, बहुत हैं, आपके पार्टी में तो हैं एक दो. टीवी पे पहले बोलते थे, अब पार्लियामेंट में बोल रहे हैं. डॉक्टर रंगनाथन को भी भेज दीजिए.
This is emergency of modern era, neoliberal postmodern era.
यही देखिए सर, this is how you trivialize the horrors of emergency. Professor Mondal, this is not funny. 1 minute. This is not funny. This is how you trivialize the horrors of emergency. मैं तो shocked हूं. Faizan Kidwai compared it to GST. I really hold Faizan bhai in high regards. Faizan bhai.
I wanted, may I put in a word, sir?
Please.
So basically, I wanted to say demonetization. Accidentally, I said GST. So it was basically about demonetization and the electoral bonds. This is, and to Tuhin, just let me put this point across. Tuhin, you're saying that, of course, see Pranesh, all of us, we don't say that the emergency was good. Of course, that was wrong. And that should be condemned. But Indira Gandhi ji, she learned her lessons. And BJP's RSS own
No. She learned her lessons. 1 minute. What lessons are you talking about, sir? पता है, मैंने वो एग्जाम्पल दिया, निकोलस सार्कोजी को जो लीजन ऑफ ऑनर दिया था, वापस ले लिया. वो भारत रत्न इंदिरा गांधी को किसने दिया? इंदिरा गांधी अवॉर्डेड भारत रत्न टू इंदिरा गांधी 1971. आप बोल दीजिए, नेताजी वाज अरेस्टेड इन इमरजेंसी. भारत रत्न शुड बी टेकन अवे. बोलिए फैजान किडवे.
गांधी जी learned from her mistakes. That's what I'm saying. She learned from her mistakes and she accepted the mistake. It was RSS Balasaheb Deora who wrote a letter to Indira Gandhi that we have nothing to do with.
Indira Gandhi was so magnanimous that she imposed emergency, learned from it, accepted it. अब क्या प्रॉब्लम है बीजेपी की?
The point is Rahul Gandhi has not learnt anything from the blunder of emergency. You know, like I mentioned, he is the Congress party today is a bigger danger to the constitution. You know, let me take this slightly beyond. मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि 90 times, Article 356 was misused. Was it misused even once in the last 11 years? No. You have seen record voting in Kashmir. What was the percentage last time? 65%. And, compare it with 1986 when the entire elections seem to have been rigged between the National Conference and the Congress Party. So there is a huge difference. We have restored democracy in the country. There can be no comparison. And finally, Pranesh, I want to compliment you. You are a very pragmatic person. You have provided a solution. My elder brother Anand is always unhappy with the BJP. So maybe, since the TMC might be looking for an image makeover, it might make sense for the TMC to consider him for Rajya Sabha seat.
Professor Mondal. Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, because उन्हीं के बारे में बात हो रही है, बोलिए.
No, normally I lift my forefinger for giving me 1 minute, but this is now number one emergency because I don't know what Tureen has said. This is also an emergency. No, but what's the debate out here? Look, let me bring out the brass tacks. Is the debate that there exist draconian laws and their application vis-a-vis emergency? The answer is yes. And that is why I said, if you want to discuss this, you have to be ruthlessly objective. Now, my good friend Nikhil said, look at the Modi government. It is using intelligence and all the investigative agencies like, they're their own this thing. It's true. But then the fact is, has it always not been true? Wasn't Congress also doing it? Wasn't none? So the point is, Congress makes all the draconian laws, uses it. But when other parties use it, then Congress says it is emergency. This is the problem. And this is why the hypocrisy needs to be exposed.
Nikhil Jain, before we move on, have you found the apology letter?
Pranesh, I have. I already showed it twice. I'm not going to keep going into
एक बार भी नहीं दिखाया, वो न्यूज रिपोर्ट से नहीं होगा. Show me the Congress apology letter, Nikhil. Until you find one, we will have to suspend this debate. Just like democracy was suspended, we are suspending this, discussing something else. Till you find one, we'll have to do that. I thank some of you for joining us. Professor Mondal, you will get 3 minutes extra in the next debate, sir. Please, let's move on. Viewers, let's shift our attention.